Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And listening to the debate here, I know there's a disagreement on what kind of recidivism that we have and what the impact is on crime in the United States when we import people from high crimes countries. And I was looking at the numbers that show 227,149 unaccompanied alien children have been brought into the United States from these countries in the past 6 years. So one wonders how many crimes were committed by that universe of people that come from the most violent places in the world. And what this amendment does is requires every 6-month increment a report from the Attorney General on each crime for which an unaccompanied alien child is charged or convicted during the previous 6-month period following their release from the custody of U.S. Department of Homeland Security. And many of them are being released on, on their own recognizance. And I heard the chairman's statements on the violent crime rates within the countries that many of them are coming from. And I just summarized some of that data that I heard from the chairman, and it comes out this way. That shocking number in El Salvador, 93.09 violent deaths per 100,000, shocking, until I looked up the data that was delivered to this committee from former member and stellar member Randy Forbes of Virginia, who had gone to New Orleans to examine the violent death rate and the crime rates in New Orleans. This was post-Katrina. And there, the violent death rate, that was actually characterized as a homicide rate in New Orleans, was 90 per 100,000.
Mr. Chairman?
Very close to the 93.09 out of El
gentleman
Salvador.
from Louisiana, seek recognition.
We just had a conversation about this. We're going to lose all civility in this committee if he thinks it's appropriate to compare New Orleans to Guatemala. Now,
the gentleman will suspend. The gentleman from Iowa has the right to make a statistical comparison between two locations.
well, you're comparing the people in the locations. That'd be like me comparing them to somebody in the Klan. I don't have a basis to do that.
When the gentleman has completed his remarks, I'll be happy to recognize the gentleman from Louisiana to make his arguments to the contrary, but he's entitled to make those remarks.
We just had a conversation about civility in this United States Congress. Now, I wear badges of bipartisanship because I actually take up and stand up for principles. I am not going to sit here and let him do that. Now, the people I love, the people I respect, and I live in New Orleans. Now, if the gentleman persists on it, then let's go in the back and have the conversation about New Orleans. But I am not going to sit here and do that. And if it takes walking across over there, then I'm prepared to do that too. But it's not appropriate, it's insensitive, and it's nothing more than traditional white privilege of let me criticize a minority city. Now, take it how you want. I'm telling you how I feel.
Look, the gentleman is entitled to express how he feels, but so is the gentleman from Iowa. And these remarks...
And words and actions have consequences, and we just saw it days ago. And we promised to do better because words have consequences.
Words have consequences, so do statistics, and so do arguments. This is the place to do it under the rules of the House. And under the rules of the House, he is entitled to proceed. The gentleman from Iowa may resume his arguments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'd suggest that if the gentleman can't participate in an open discussion on this, then it might be better for one of us, and that would be particularly you, the gentleman from Louisiana, then to remove himself from the room, but he can't restrain himself.
We'll suspend. That remark is not appropriate. And the gentleman has offered to have this discussion in private. You can choose to do that or not do that. You are entitled to have a discussion regarding the statistics related to murder rates in various communities and various countries. But the issue of whether or not the gentleman can be here or not is his business, not yours. So the gentleman is recognized, but...
Mr. Chairman, reclaiming my time, I'm simply reciprocating on this regard, but I'll go back to the data, and I will not be intimidated by this kind of thing. It's important that we look at data. In fact, it's more important that we look at the data than it is we listen to the rhetoric that surrounds the data. And these are bodies that are going to the morgue, Mr. Chairman. That's something that is offensive to me.